Inside the Chamber is brought to you by presenting sponsor, Naperville Bank and Trust.
Hello and welcome to Inside the Chamber. I'm Kaylin Risvold, President and CEO of the Naperville Area Chamber of Commerce. And today is a special edition of the Inside the Chamber where we really get to dive in depth and hear a little more from our 4 Under 40 award winners. Really exciting. We had a fantastic group of nominees this year, and these 4 people just rose to the top. And I'm excited to introduce them to you and share a little bit more about them. So our 4 winners are here with us today. We have Rebecca Malatke-Meslin, Mina Banashik, Derek McDaniel, and Tim Pavick. So thank you everybody for coming on today. And I'm excited to hear more about what you're doing in our community and tell people a little bit about why we're honoring you. Quick introductions. Let's go around and say where we work. Rebecca, I'll start with you. What do you work and kind of what's been your involvement in the chamber too?
Wonderful. Hi, my name is Rebecca Malatke-Meslin. I am the Director of Enrollment and Financial Aid at the Avery Cooney School. I've been involved with the Chamber for about 4 years, and as soon as we got started with our involvement, I quickly got engaged with the Women in Business Committee. And so that's been kind of the heart and soul of my time with the Chamber, has been spent engaging all of our women in business within our community, all of our different organizations. And I've loved every second of it, met so many amazing people. I'm also a Naperville resident, which means that I've met a lot of folks who have also become friends and not only colleagues in business, and I've really enjoyed it.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Mina, tell us a little bit about where you work and what you're doing.
Sure. My name is Mina Banashak, and I am the Director of Quality and Food Safety for Phoenix. We're an injection molded plastic closure manufacturer headquartered in Naperville. I've lived in Naperville for 6 years, but have only started working here in the last 2 years. So I consider myself relatively new in that regard, especially to the Chamber. But once I began to learn more about the Chamber and what it has to offer, I really just jumped in with 2 feet. I attended a few young professionals events at first, and most recently, I'm now a member of the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee with the Chamber, which is super exciting. Can't wait to continue to put forward some events and provide content for the community through that group.
Awesome. Thank you. And Derek, where are you working? What are you doing?
Hi, Kaylin. Thank you very much for having us on. I work in wealth management as a financial advisor at Merrill Lynch. I've been there for a little over 2 years now. I've lived in Naperville since '85, and I always say that I was lucky enough to move here right before the Bears won the Super Bowl. So I got to experience that, the Super Bowl shuffle. I remember having the record that I'd play nonstop, and I still remember the words, as I'm sure many of us do. But we're all very lucky to live in Naperville. It's a fantastic community. I've been involved with the Chamber for almost a little over a year now, and got involved, pretty heavily right out of the gate, going to YP events and a number of after-hour events, and really tried to immerse myself in the whole program. And it's been a fantastic organization, meeting a lot of great people, great relationships, and it's been a lot of fun. So I'm very lucky to have gotten involved. Additionally, I serve on the NCTV board along with the Settlement Heritage Society board. So great organizations.
Awesome. And Tim, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, thanks, Kaylin. So I'm Tim Pavick. I'm the founder and CEO of Magnatech. We are an outsourced managed services provider here in Naperville. I've been a chamber member. Magnatech's been a chamber member since 2012, right shortly thereafter I moved to Naperville. And I started going through the list, getting involved in things. It wasn't until 2016 when the Chamber put out an RFP for IT services. They were in the market. We threw our hats in the ring and won the bid. Shortly thereafter, we started to advertise heavily through the Chamber, and it's really changed everything. Our brand awareness exploded overnight, and I directly thank the chamber for doing that for us. It's been a great relationship. And then once our name got out there, we were given opportunities to serve and be more involved in the community. And I think that's what makes Naperville such a special place, is that even though it's a large city, the community aspect of Naperville is so unique. I've never seen a big place like Naperville with the population that it has and all the different people get together like it's a community of 400 people. It's amazing. It's a beautiful thing, and I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be part of Naperville and happy to serve the community.
Awesome. Thank you. And we do have such a wonderful community, and it's so great to, I don't want to say you're future leaders, because you are our leaders. You are leaders in our community, and I'm excited to take a little bit of a deeper dive with each of you and introduce you to people and talk and use this Inside the Chamber segment to really showcase who you are and why the Chamber is acknowledging you with this fantastic award. So let's go and do those deeper dive interviews and look forward to learning a bit more about you. Rebecca, thank you for joining me. This was just a great honor for me to be able to list you as one of our 4 Under 40 award winners. So Rebecca is one of the first people I met here at the Chamber, and it's so awesome seeing your joy for life and joy for the Chamber and connecting with people. So I want to give other people insight to what I see in you. So tell us a little bit. You talked a little bit about Chamber involvement, of what all you're doing and why you think it's important to be involved with the Chamber and the community.
Thank you so much for this honor. I was so excited to receive this recognition. It means so much to me. I have really enjoyed my time working with the Chamber. My involvement is multifaceted in that I have been a Naperville resident for about 9 years, but didn't join the Chamber until about 4 years ago. I work, as I said, at the Avery Coonley School. We're actually located in Downers Grove, but as an independent school, we serve a broad community of folks all the way from Hinsdale to Naperville. And a lot of our students are also residents of Naperville. So I was excited to join the Chamber as the Avery Coonley School to see more about what our families at our school were doing in their community, and also how I could get involved more with my community. So it was a win-win for me that I got to spend more time in my own community, but in a work-related capacity. And a natural fit for me was women in business. I have a background in women's and gender studies, and I've always been really curious and interested in women's place in the workplace and that work-life balance. And so it felt like a natural fit to learn more about the women who were leading our businesses in Naperville and what they were doing to also engage the community. So I got involved and quickly realized that this wasn't just a network of women who were just business owners or business leaders, but women at all levels of business and who were looking to improve their own leadership skills. They were looking to improve their community. And it was everything from the large corporations within Naperville to very small women-owned businesses to a lot of nonprofits. And that's Avery Coonley fit in nicely there too. We are a non-for-profit. So I was amazed to see how many not-for-profits exist in Naperville who are serving such a wide variety of families, to other businesses, to the community at large, to DuPage County, right? Who happen to be headquartered here in Naperville. And I saw opportunity open up wide and saw how much need there is within our community and within DuPage County, and saw how interconnected all of these organizations were, and really felt like there was a place for me. I felt like I could reach out to any number of these organizations and volunteer and participate. But also I am known among my friends as a fierce networker and as a connector. And I love to engage with people from all different walks of life. And so as soon as I learned about all these not-for-profits through the Chamber, I started connecting people to them. So I'd meet someone either through business or my personal life and suddenly say, hey, do you know about Career Networking Center? Hey, do you know about Loaves and Fishes? Hey, do you know about this other organization? They could really use somebody like you on their board, or they could really use some volunteers. And it was so rewarding for me to be able to make all of those connections with the ultimate goal of just helping our community, but also raising awareness about all the really wonderful work that's being done in Naperville. And for that, I'm really grateful for the Chamber in particular, because I don't think that I would have made all those connections without just the people at the chamber, right from your employees to the volunteers to just the people I've met through the chamber. But it's been incredibly gratifying for me personally, but also I think as a business, we've seen how families who didn't know we existed, we're a 100-plus-year-old institution, and a lot of people don't know that we even exist over there in Downers Grove and serve families in Naperville. So that's been exciting too, to see a community start to recognize that we're there, and we're there to serve the needs of their children if they're looking for an independent school. We specifically serve a gifted and talented population of children, so it's a kind of a niche market, and we want to let people know that we're there to support them and their families.
And you're talking about community, and part of being a 4 Under 40 award winner is excelling in your career and excelling in your community, but also work-life balance. Talk to us about, what are your hobbies? What is your work-life balance? And what are your suggestions for people looking to do what you're doing?
Work-life balance, right? This I think used to mostly apply to women. I think we talked a lot about it, like women were always talking about work-life balance. I'm excited to say that I hear more and more men talking about it. And I know this is a conversation my husband Jason and I have all the time about how we're going to strike that balance. We have 2 sons. Jonah is turning 11 tomorrow, and my younger son Elijah is 8. So we're right in the thick of parenting and e-learning at the moment. And I'm so blessed. I'm so blessed to have 2 happy, healthy sons. And a few years ago, as I was working with a career coach and talking through what my future was going to look like as a leader within my industry, at my school, in my community, I started really thinking about the ages of my sons. And I realized that in 10 years, they're both going to be off to college, which is a crazy thought when your kids are little, but I know it happens so fast. So my husband and I have really committed to being present as much as we possibly can be, while also trying to engage with our community and trying to engage with our careers that we really love and that we really enjoy, right? And that's not easy. I always say it takes a village. I know that's a totally overused term, but I have been so fortunate to have this neighborhood of folks who I rely on pretty heavily for emotional support, but also childcare. I'm originally from Michigan. My husband's originally from Kansas, and we don't have family, blood family, I will say, in Naperville. We have made a family in Naperville with our friends and our neighbors that has been so necessary. Those days where I'm running late and I need somebody else to pick up the kids, those days where I'm just exhausted, and somebody says, hey, just bring the kids over and we'll just sit on the back patio and they can all play together and just relax and chill. But when I do have free time, which I think all working moms and stay-at-home moms, all moms know, free time is kind of a funny concept. But those moments where you try to escape and you have to carve out those moments, I enjoy running. I love to read. I especially love to cook. And fortunately, it's a function of life. I have to cook every day, but I really do enjoy it. I love meal planning. I'm super organized when it comes to that. I love to eat as much as I love to cook. So that's also an added bonus. But I'm actually sitting in my sewing right now. It's a spare bedroom, but so I love to sew, and I've started to do a little bit more of that recently. And I have very domestic hobbies, which is kind of funny, but all those things really bring me joy. More recently, I've been meditating a lot more, and that's that self-care piece, but that centers me so that I can be present for my children and also be present for my boss when I'm at work. And those things I think are so essential to just keep me moving forward. I'm inherently a very enthusiastic and upbeat person. That doesn't mean I don't have my down days, my sad days, those days that are a little more of a struggle. But I know that I have such a supportive community of friends who are there for me, like I said, emotionally and physically when I need them.
Awesome. Well, it's been great getting a little more insight into you. And like I said, just so honored to be able to name you as one of our 4 Under 40 award recipients this year. So thank you for your time, and I appreciate it.
Thank you, Caitlin.
Inside the Chamber is brought to you by presenting sponsor, Naperville Bank and Trust.
Naperville Bank and Trust has the expertise, knowledge, and experience to help you reach your business goals.
They provide all the tools that you would ask that we as a growing business need of a bank. Most importantly, to me, it's a great personal relationship we have with Tom and John and our bankers.
It was the best thing we could have done in banking. And banking can be very cold. What the bank brings to us is that warm feeling when you come into the bank and people say, "Hi, Greg."
It's about being part of the community again, about being a name again, about having credit for who your business is instead of just being a number.
Naperville Bank and Trust. Bring it home.
Inside the Chamber is brought to you by presenting sponsor, Naperville Bank and Trust.
Tim, thanks for joining us. So exciting to be able to announce you as one of our 4 Under 40 award recipients. I met Tim actually before I had taken this job. I had met you at one of my first chamber events. So it's really exciting to be able to give this honor to you on behalf of the chamber and know that you're out there working in the community and meeting different people. So tell us a little bit about that. In addition to Magnatech, what are you doing? How else are you involved in the community?
Thanks, Kaylin. So yeah, I'm actively involved in activities that involve kids. So I currently serve on the board of directors for IX FC Naperville, which is the second oldest soccer club in Naperville. And so I'm on the board, I'm part of the leadership team. I'm also involved in revenue and fundraising. I've also spent a great deal of time working with various kids organizations, whether it's Kids Matter. So I sit on the advisory board there. I'm also in position to join the Career Networking Center in Naperville this summer. So those are the official things that I'm doing in terms of community board positions and involvement there. But whether it's, I have 2 daughters, so whether it's hosting the Girl Scouts at our office and doing events at Magnatech, where the girls come in and they can take computers apart and put them back together, or set up a computer and print, write an email. Getting girls more involved in the technology side of IT is an initiative that I've started. I also have spent a great deal of time on the fields coaching. So I still coach basketball, I coach baseball, I coach soccer. I still coach those sports for kids. The main reason, one of the things that made me start Magnatech in the first place is to be available and be more of a dad and not be stuck in a job, but to focus on the stuff outside of work as well. And that's the culture that I brought to the company. So I don't get to just enjoy that balance. I try to push that balance on everybody else as well, and spend more time with family, develop a really good culture so that people realize, we've got a difficult thing, in terms of managing people's networks and keeping their cybersecurity stuff intact. And it's a big responsibility and it's very stressful, but also to push people to spend time with their families as well and enjoy their off time. So those are big initiatives that I try to push.
And what advice do you give to people who are looking to set themselves up as leaders in the future or looking to try to get some of that balance themselves?
I always advise people to be part of some sort of advisory group, join a peer group of like-minded professionals that would serve almost like an advisory board. Whether it's, whatever kind of coaching peer-to-peer group, hire a business coach. I've done that. Work on yourself as a leader. I tell people all the time that just because I'm in this position doesn't make me the greatest expert. I'm going to make mistakes too. Magnatech is my first business. So, it's not like just because I'm sitting in the CEO or captain's chair doesn't necessarily mean that I'm infallible. I make a point of empowering my staff. I try to get buy-in. Whether I try to make a decision, but I try to get their buy-in because I know that they have to live with that. They have to live with whatever decision I ultimately make. So I do include them. I'm very transparent and I self-medicate. I always think out loud. That's just what I do. I don't really internalize much. I let it out there. So everyone knows where I stand or where they stand. So I think that's really important. Communication is key. But even in times like this, we're dealing with this virus and we're dealing with this shelter in place scenario. And, I make a point of going one-on-one with a lot of staff members and just saying, hey, listen, how's it going? Mental health check. I try to talk to them often. And we try to do a lot of cultural things as well using Zoom and try to spend a good chunk of those Zoom meetings not talking about work and laughing and having a good time and, busting chops and things like that. We have a good time with that, just so that people leave work at the end of the day with a smile on their face. I think that's really important because they have gone through a stressful day and they're dealing with clients all day. And sometimes you've got clients that aren't happy. And so it stresses people out. And so to end the day on a good note, because I can tell you, if we were in the office right now, there would be plenty of distractions. There would be plenty of opportunity to laugh and to collaborate. And you've seen our space, so you know how tight it is, right? Everyone can look over their shoulder and talk to the guy next to them, and it's a very wide open, collaborative environment. And to take that away overnight is a major adjustment, and you could lose your culture in a couple of days. So I make a point of communicating and spending even more time communicating now with the team.
It sounds like you make culture a huge priority at work. How do you make culture a huge priority in our community? What's so great about the Naperville community?
I think, I could speak to the CNC thing that we got going on right now with the Joy sign. You've had it on your yard. I've had it on my yard. Every other day, Benny and I take it, and Joe and Mark are working on the ones on the north side. I was talking to Benny. I said, and as we're setting stuff up on people's yards, people are walking by and they're like, what is that? I'd like to get behind that. I've never been in a place like this, Naperville, where people, get behind causes. They don't even know what it's about, but they want to learn more and they want to get behind it. And I grew up in a town which was small as well. Everyone knew everybody, but for the most part, people kind of kept their nose down. They focused maybe on what mattered to them, and that was it. You see a huge, the community aspect of it. It doesn't feel like a city of 150,000 people. It really doesn't. Before you know it, you're bumping elbows with somebody, all over the place. So it's got that unique community, small town feel, even though it isn't. And, I was telling Benny, boy, do people get behind things here? People really get behind good causes. And, so it's contagious. Sorry to use the pun, but it's contagious. And so people get behind things. And when you have that energy and you have that strength of people getting behind community events and good causes, it just really helps elevate us and get us to a better place as people, as professionals, and so on and so forth. Magnatech, we do a lot of stuff for the community because we want to return what's been given to us. We've been fortunate since we've been in Naperville to have a lot of opportunity to grow the business, to be successful. And I notice some of the more successful entrepreneurs in Naperville, they have one thing in common. They get behind the community. And I watch them, I study them. They know who they are, but I pay attention and I ask a lot of questions. I bend the ear of so many people who have been there and done that. And I've gotten some great advice. And it's really worked. It's put Magnatech on the map. It's put me on the map. And it's not that I'm doing this for my own recognition, but you really get the sense that you're contributing to the greater good of the community, and that makes me feel good.
Good. Well, thank you for sharing a little bit of your story. And again, so honored to be able to announce you as one of our leaders that we're really highlighting and our 4 Under 40 awardees. So thank you so much.
Kaylin, thank you so much.
Inside the Chamber is brought to you by presenting sponsor, Naperville Bank and Trust. Inside the Chamber is brought to you by presenting sponsor, Naperville Bank and Trust.
All right, well, Derek, thank you so much for joining us, and so excited to announce you as one of the award recipients of the 4 Under 40 Awards. Tell us a little bit about what this award means to you.
Well, thank you again. It's an honor to receive the award. There are so many impressive young professionals in Naperville, and to be considered amongst them is an honor. Naperville, I've mentioned this a few times, is just a fantastic community full of dedicated, passionate members of our community who serve in many different capacities. So, many of them serve and dedicate their lives and professions to charitable causes. So it's just a really a wonderful opportunity, and it's very humbling.
Awesome. And we've talked a little bit about what you do professionally. How are you involved in the community? And tell us a little bit about your family involvement as well.
Yeah, so so professionally, I work as a financial advisor at Merrill Lynch, but I've lived in Naperville, since '85, as I think I mentioned earlier. I have 3 little kids, my twin boys that are 6 and my daughter's 9. My wife and I met in Breckenridge, Colorado on a chairlift of all places. She's from Texas, so I got her to come back to Naperville. Told her the weather is better, but it's really not that good right now. But we've been back here since 2005, I believe. And we just are very passionate members of the community. I've been involved with the Chamber for a little while now. I've always wanted to get involved, increasingly involved in other aspects of the community, and fortunately I've been able to join and serve on the board, NCTV, and also the Heritage Society, which are both just fantastic organizations, and I think are really kind of mainstay or very key parts to our community. Obviously, with NCTV bringing everyone together on a local level and communicating important information about what's occurring. And also the Heritage Society at Settlement is really somewhat of a focal point, a central point where everyone comes together and has been a part of the Naperville history for a number of years. So it's really neat to be part of both of those groups.
What's your advice for someone who's looking to be seen as a leader in the Naperville community?
Be sincere, be passionate, and just get involved and find something that you love and you enjoy, and be patient and reach out and make it known that you would love to get involved no matter what the scenario may be. But find something that you enjoy, and when you're able to do that, then it's easy.
Absolutely. And you talked a little bit about your family. How do you manage all of these things that you're doing? What does that work-life balance look like? I mean, that's one of the things we talked about in our 4 Under 40 interviews. It's important to excel, professionally, but personally as well.
It's very, very difficult. You obviously very successful yourself, as is your husband. My wife and I, very same. My wife is a very, busy professional in her own right. So we both understand how much our careers mean and all, but at the same time, how much our family means to us. So we try to coordinate with Google Calendars and Apple iPhones and text. And there are times when a lot of communication gets lost and missed, and someone misreads a text message smiley face the wrong way, and you don't come home to a warm meal that evening. But it's a difficult balance. We put a high price on being active and staying in shape. My wife is at the gym in the mornings when you could go to the gym by 5:30, and I'd be getting the kids ready and dressed and had breakfast made, and at 7:30 I'm in my office, and it's just kind of a juggling act. We all have responsibility and roles, and as long as you communicate, it hopefully works out.
Absolutely. And we do live in this great community. And you mentioned you got your wife to come to Naperville. What is it that's so special about Naperville and our community?
That's a really good question. I was born in Pittsburgh. I lived in Denver for a little while. So I went to school in Indiana. But there really is nothing like Naperville's community. It's maybe the 3rd or 4th largest, I think, by population in the state of Illinois. I may be right next to Aurora, which is next door. There is just something about the people who live here who value the education, the Riverwalk, the downtown, the business, the small business, community that we have. And the fun part about Naperville is that you could email your mayor and he'd be happy to meet with you in his office. And there are very few communities where you can do that and have that type of voice and interaction.
Awesome. Well, it's great having you in our community and great having you as a leader in our community. So very proud to have you as a leader and again, to be one of our 4 under 40 recipients. So thank you for your time today.
Thank you very much.
Inside the Chamber is brought to you by presenting sponsor, Naperville Bank and Trust.
Naperville Bank and Trust has the expertise, knowledge, and experience to help you reach your business goals.
They provide all the tools that you would ask that we as a growing business need of a bank. Most importantly, to me, it's a great personal relationship we have with Tom and John and our bankers.
It was the best thing we could have done in banking. And banking can be very cold. What the bank brings to us is that warm feeling when you come into the bank and people say, "Hi, Greg."
It's about being part of the community again, about being a name again, about having credit for who your business is instead of just being a number.
Naperville Bank and Trust. Bring it home.
Inside the Chamber is brought to you by presenting sponsor, Naperville Bank and Trust.
Nina, thank you for joining us and so excited to announce you as a 4 under 40 award recipient. So welcome. And I first met you when you took our Leadership Naperville class. Tell us a little bit about the Leadership Naperville you went through.
Yeah, so that was a program that I enrolled in last fall through the Chamber. It was recommended to me by one of my colleagues at Phoenix. And wasn't sure what to expect going into it other than knowing that it would be an opportunity for me to just learn a lot more about the various sectors of our community and how decisions are made and who's involved in making those decisions. And that was very much what I experienced. And the added benefit too was, in addition to making face-to-face connections with some of the top leaders in our city, was making the same connections with a lot of other professionals in Naperville who are just as interested and intent on understanding how our city works and how we can better influence and improve it.
And what did you learn? What is your advice for other people who want to influence and improve our city?
That it's actually quite a bit more accessible than it might seem, that you don't have to naturally be in some kind of a very highly influential position or have the connections already made in order to just start a simple conversation. That a lot of the people who are in positions like that, whether it's our city manager or the mayor or other business leaders, they're people too, and they like having conversations like the rest of us. So my advice would be to just take that first step and make a phone call or send an email and say, I have an opinion or I have a concern, and start the conversation.
We've heard a little bit about what you do professionally, but how else are you involved in the community and involved in your family life as well?
Yeah, so I've been a resident of Naperville for 6 years, and we've just progressively gotten more and more ingrained in our neighborhood and the community as a whole as our family has grown. So my husband and I are parents of 3 children, and 2 of them attend Mill Street Elementary. So that was probably the point at which I realized, gosh, we're really in it for the long haul, so we better start contributing as much as we're benefiting from being here. So I volunteer at Mill Street. I've helped with classroom parties and worked with a group of parents to launch an after-school club that teaches empathy and compassion to young kids, which was a really cool experience. I created and taught a mini course on how to build your own musical instruments there. So just an abundance of opportunities at the school itself. And then outside of the school, I've done a handful of things with the Alive Center for Teens, including supporting their What's Next career exploration event for high schoolers, and participating on a committee called the Girls in Tech Coalition, which is a group of us who are trying to increase awareness and interest for girls to pursue a career in the tech industry, and have had one-on-one opportunities through the Alive Center to mentor a local student who is organizing an engineering summer camp for junior high school girls. There's other things too. The thing I'm most proud of is being a member of the board of directors for Loaves and Fishes Community Services. It's an extraordinary organization. They're doing vitally important work for our community. Their mission is to promote self-sufficiency and provide food and healthy food and impactful services to their clients. So that is truly an honor to be a participant in their efforts.
And that's so much of what you do in the community. And we've heard you work at Phoenix. How did you get to where you're at professionally?
So I started working in manufacturing for General Mills, and I spent 11 years working in the food industry. Circumstances were such that I had to make a decision to leave because they had to close the plant that I was in. And that was the point at which I looked at every card that I could play, and the stars somehow aligned around bringing me right back into the community where I had lived, and found me an opportunity to work at Phoenix. So it was a natural progression in my career, but not one that I necessarily saw coming. It has been just a blessing in so many ways to have found this job as Director of Quality and Food Safety. And it's given me that additional impetus to say, hey, now I live here, now I work here, now my kids are in school here. What else is there? What else can I do and take advantage of?
And why is this award important to you? And why is it important that we have 4 under 40 awards?
It goes back to my earlier comment around the fact that every one of us has a valid voice, and to make that voice heard is not something that requires you to be in a position of power or great span of influence. And so this award is important to me because it kind of re-emphasizes that same concept that there are leaders among all of us, that it highlights there's just this amazing amount of energy and passion and effort that takes place every day in so many different ways. And it gives me an opportunity to try to share that same energy with other people in my community to say, you have power whether you realize it or not. You have influence whether you realize it or not. And it's a great platform to show that there are amazing people at work here who want to partner with others in the community to drive improvements for everyone.
Awesome. Well, I think that answer right there just exemplifies why we chose you as one of our 4 under 40 recipients. So thank you for your time and encouragement. I think it's great advice for everybody to hear. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Kaylin. It's an honor.
Well, thank all of you for joining us today. It's been so wonderful learning a little bit more about you, and again, being able to share that with the Naperville community. Just so honored to get to know each of you, and it's been great for you all to get to know each other a little bit as well. So I can't wait to celebrate you in the fall. We are going to have our 4 under 40 awards ceremony, so we can get up and really let you speak as well and share more of your story. And I believe we're going to have the person who nominate you come introduce you. So really have a great way to hear more about what other people see in you and now what we see in you. So it's so great to be able to share your stories and elevate you as leaders in our community. So thank you again to Rebecca, Mina, Derek, and Tim, our 4 under 40 awards, and join us for our next Inside the Chamber.
Inside the Chamber is brought to you by presenting sponsor, Naperville Bank and Trust.